So, if you're watching this video, you probably know that Nintendo posted a Direct about 3 weeks ago. And I know it's taken me a while to say something about it, but I just wanted to make sure I knew what to say about it. So, let's just jump right into it. So, they started off the Direct with a trailer for a new game. And when I first saw this, I had no idea what it was. First I thought it was Hyrule Warriors DLC, then Codename Steam, but the art style didn't really look like either of those games. But when they zoomed out and revealed it was just a painting, I realized it was a new Fire Emblem game. I have to say, I was a bit underwhelmed at first, especially since the game y'all thought it was looked so great. But it is on the 3DS, and it sure looks better than the Fire Emblem Awakening, and it looks like the transitions are going to be much smoother this time around. I think we'll have some more trailers before the game's release, and we do know that the latest in the Fire Emblem series will be releasing sometime in 2015. So next they revealed Puzzles & Dragons Z and Puzzles & Dragons Z Super Mario Bros. Edition. So what is Puzzles & Dragons, you ask? Well, it's a puzzle game with RPG elements, and that's about as much as I know. But I do like the Super Mario Bros. Edition though. They have the world map from the new Super Mario Bros. Series, they have the pictures from Bowser kidnapping Peach from 3D Land, the enemies and allies from the Mario series too. And they even have the smallest of details, like the sounds of the pieces touching, or the sounds of killing an enemy with a Koopa shell. So both of these games are going to be packaged together in one, and they will be releasing on May. And then they revealed Pokemon Shuffle, which looks like it has the same concept as Puzzles & Dragons and Pokemon Battle Troze, just with a slightly different mechanic. Although this game is freemium, so I hope that doesn't make the game any worse. And Pokemon Shuffle will release February. Wait a minute, it's February now. Well, hopefully they'll tell us something soon. And finally, some Wii U news. And I know it's just the Wii Virtual Console, but I haven't had a chance to play any of these games. And while I'll probably get a physical version of these, I just got Metroid Prime Trilogy for $10. Think about that. That's $3 per game. So one Metroid Prime game costs less than the original Super Mario Bros. Now I know what you're going to say. Nintendo promised us that we would get N64 and GameCube Virtual Console games. Well, think about this. For every game on the Wii U that has a disc version, there also is a version that is digital. So this is just the same, except with the Wii games. I'm sure it's not that difficult to port a game from the Wii to the Wii U, so I'm sure there's another reason Nintendo isn't working on N64 and GameCube games. So, there was more to say about Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. So we already know that it's releasing in February 20th, but now I know a little bit more about the amiibo. So, once a day, the Kirby, Meta Knight, and Dedede amiibos each help Kirby out during his adventure. There are two things that worry me about this, though. All three of these abilities seem like things that would have been unlockable in the game pre-amiibo. The other thing I worry about is that people will view this as more of a cheat, like Cranky Kong's shop in Donkey Kong Country. Speaking of amiibo, Wave 3 of amiibo will release in February, sometime. It's weird how Nintendo still isn't sure when these will release, when they really should be announcing something, because they should be technically out by now. Nintendo also announced Wave 4 amiibos. These will include Robin, Lucina, Pac-Man, Wario, Ness, and Charizard, and they will release in spring. I'm personally excited for Robin and Pac-Man. While this is great, I wish that Nintendo would give us something more specific new on amiibo. It doesn't really make any sense why Nintendo isn't bringing up any news about discontinued amiibo. So, speaking of amiibo, there's going to be a Super Mario Bros. Series of amiibo. Nintendo's going to make Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, and Bowser. And those will be releasing in March 20th of the game. So these will be the second amiibo after the Smash Bros. Amiibo to be able to read and write data. So since the amiibos can only have one game that writes data, if you have your existing Smash amiibo and you use it for this game, it'll delete the Smash data. Now, Nintendo's releasing new amiibo, but they function the exact same way. And from a marketing standpoint, it kind of doesn't really make any sense, especially since they announced Rosalina, Donkey Kong, and Wario, but they're not making new amiibo for those either. Nintendo is also making a Toad amiibo, and the Toad amiibo will be able to work with Mario Party 10, but it's also going to be able to work with the Captain Toad game. And I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be, but you're going to find a hidden toad in the level, and you'll get something from it. Nintendo also announced that the other amiibos will not have a specific use for Mario Party 10 and Captain Toad, but for Captain Toad they'll give you 1-ups, and they'll give you some sort of stamp in Mario Party 10, and I think that will be daily. Nintendo also announced stuff about Splatoon. So they announced that there's going to be a hub world, and there's going to be a shop where you can customize your character. They also announced that there's going to be 1 single-player mode and 1 online mode. So the 8-player thing, you won't be able to do that locally. But since that's the only online mode, it probably won't be hard to get everybody in the same room at once. Now, I think this is pretty cool. But I don't know, I think I have to play the game to find out. So that comes out in May. So hopefully I won't have to wait too long for that. So then they showed the Hyrule Warriors DLC with young Link and Tingle for Majora's Mask 3D. And honestly, all I have to say is, it looks pretty cool. I picked up Hyrule Warriors. I haven't really played it yet. I played like the first level. I haven't gotten the DLC yet, so I don't know. I'll still have to see how that is. Then they showed a trailer for the new Xenoblade game. I don't really think it showed off that much. All I can say is I think the game looks really cool. And I'll have to wait to see more about that. I kind of liked how they ended the trailer. It was like they showed the year 2015. And he was like, "Oh, you'll find more about this in the near future." Then they showed the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game called Tipping Stars. And that's going to be releasing in March 12th. And that will be available for both the Wii U and the 3DS. And what's cool is they're doing a cross-buy thing. Or if you get the Wii U version, you'll get a download code for the 3DS version. And if you get the 3DS version, you'll get a download code for the Wii U version. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how I'm going to like the game. It's digital only, and I kind of like physical versions of the games better. But I'll have to see. I'll wait till that comes out. So then Nintendo decided to talk about some games that were produced from some of their partners. So, the first game we had was a game from Bandai Namco. This is going to be 4-player co-op action. It's going to be online. It's going to be free. And anybody can play it. What's this game called? When's it going to be released? Well, we don't really know. So, yeah, I don't really know anything about this game. It was kind of cool how they revealed it. They're going to call it Project Treasure. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do. I mean, again, I fear about the freemium aspect of it. But, I don't know, I mean, it could be fine. I guess we'll have to see when that comes out. So, they mentioned some indie games on their eShop. So the first of that was Elliot Quest, which kind of looks like a mixture of, like, Kid Icarus and Metroid. So that seems pretty cool. There's also Bleck. So I've actually played Bleck before. It's pretty fun. It's a really difficult game, actually. But I think it would work on the gamepad. I think you could be really precise with your movements. And then they showed Citizens of the Earth, which is kind of like a modern RPG. So you're the vice president of the Earth, and you awake after the day of your election to find that the world is plagued with monsters, and you have to fight them in order to reclaim your Earth back. So that looks pretty cool too. So I haven't picked up Elliot Quest or Project Treasure. Well, not Project Treasure, that's Citizens of the Earth. I haven't picked up either of those two games yet. So I'll have to see when I pick them up. So then they announced some exclusive to the Nintendo 3DS eShop. So they announced Gunman Clive 2, which is the sequel to Gunman Clive. I never played Gunman Clive, so I'm not really sure how the game is. But it looks pretty cool, and I really like the art style they're going in with all the new characters. They also announced Moon Chronicles episodes 2, 3, and 4, which is like a first-person shooter, but it's like a sci-fi themed. I haven't played episode 1, so I'm not really sure how the game works either. So Sega will also be releasing some 3D classics to the 3DS. So they're going to be releasing 3D Afterburner 2, a 3D Fantasy Zone, which isn't 3D, but they're calling it 3D anyways. 3D Fantasy Zone 2, and that's not 3D either. 3D Thunderblade, and that's not 3D either. And then they're also going to release 3D Outrun. So it's kind of weird because they're releasing 5 games, and 3 of them aren't 3D. So I don't know why they're calling these 3D games when they're not 3D. That doesn't really make any sense. I know they're on the 3DS, but they're not 3D. It doesn't make any sense. So there's also Etrian Mystery Dungeon, which seems like it's going to be a sequel to the Mystery Dungeon series. So that looks pretty cool. Then they also announced Story of Seasons, which is kind of like a Farmville and like Animal Crossing type of game. So I don't know, I'll have to see how that turns out when I see that. So then they announced Fossil Fighters Frontier, which is the sequel to Fossil Fighters. Now, this honestly doesn't really look like that interesting of a game. I mean, I can tell it has its audience, but I don't think it's the type of game for me. And now, the part you've all been waiting for. Nintendo's new handheld. We all remember the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advanced, the Game Boy Pocket. We remember the DS, the DS Lite, the DSi, the DSi XL. We remember the 3DS, the 3DS XL, the 2DS. But now, we have the 3DS XL coming to America, and it just released a few days ago. Now, to be perfectly honest, there are 3 complaints I have with this, though. Now, the first is that the smaller 3DS, or the normal-sized 3DS, isn't coming to America. And that's kind of annoying. I was personally looking forward to getting the smaller one. I liked the design with the colored buttons and the faceplates. But I also didn't like the fact that the 3DS XL, you could see the fingerprints on them. But the only thing I really liked about the smaller sized version was the design of it. And I feel like if they can make a version of that, but with the size of the 3DS XL, I wouldn't really mind as much. The next thing is that there's not going to be a charger that comes with it, so you'll have to get it on your own. And I know it really should come with the system, but I honestly think that if they keep the charging cables in stock, that I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, since it's not going to be that hard to buy and you'll be able to buy it at the same time. Now, my third complaint is that there's going to be a micro SD card instead of the normal SD card. Yeah, since it's only the bigger version, you're going to have to use a screwdriver to get it out. And that honestly sounds really annoying to do. And even to be able to transfer your data from a 3DS to the new 3DS XL, it's going to take so many steps, and it really just doesn't make that much sense. I mean, I know they're planning on making this be the upgrade to the original 3DS. But, I mean, I feel like if they were making this the upgrade, then they should have had the same type of SD card, so transferring would be as easy as possible. And then, Nintendo talked about Codename Steam, so that's going to have amiibo support, so with the 4 Fire Emblem characters we know about now, you'll be able to use them in the game. So that's actually pretty cool. I really like the style of the characters. You know, I kind of wish this is the style of characters we could have in the Fire Emblem games and the Smash Brothers games. And also, we'll be getting the Marth amiibo. That'll be getting restocked. So we're not sure if that's in card form, or if that'll be in its actual figurine form. But that's good that Nintendo talked about it, somewhat. I mean, I still wish that they could talk about the Wii Fit Trainer and the Villager ones.
since I honestly don't think that they're going to make another Wii Fit game, or even like an Animal Crossing game soon, since they discontinued it. So I at least like them to say that they're not making them anymore, or at least make the card version. That'd be pretty nice. So they announced Ace Combat Assault Horizon Legacy Plus, and that will be releasing on February 13th, so that was a few days ago. Also, same day as the new 3DS XL getting released. And there's going to be amiibo support with that as well. So it just, the different amiibo will have different types of ships. So I honestly like how Nintendo is making so many games with the amiibos. It's going to be hard to like get every game that has amiibo support and then have every amiibo work with that, like to fully unlock everything, because, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to get amiibo, you should have started yesterday. They're, like, so hard to get. So you guys remember that game, Xenoblade Chronicles, on the Nintendo Wii? Because, I mean, I don't. All my friends are talking about it, but it's like there's no more copies left. But, for all of those you that missed it, Nintendo's going to remake it on the 3DS. Sorry, scratch that. The new Nintendo 3DS XL. And it's going to be in 3D. So it's actually going to be, it's the only game so far that's going to be exclusive to the new Nintendo 3DS XL. I'm not sure if there's going to be others. I kind of hope there's others. Then there would be more of an incentive to get it. And also, it turns out it's being developed by the same team that made Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. So that seems pretty cool. There's the team that's remaking Star Fox 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. And then there's also the team that's remaking the Wii games like Donkey Kong and now Xenoblade. And then they announced Ironfall, which is a first-person shooter coming to the 3DS eShop. That looks interesting, but I'm going to have to see more about what that's about before I can make any judgment on whether I really want to get the game or not. So remember Monster Hunter 4? There's actually going to be a new Nintendo 3DS XL model based off of that. And I have to say, this model actually looks a lot better than the other models I've seen. So I'm actually kind of excited to see this. It'll be exclusively at GameStop. And I just checked on GameStop, and it's actually out of stock, so I hope they bring it back in stock soon, since I really liked that bundle. But oh well, maybe we'll see that again soon. And last but not least, they talked about The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. Now, it's kind of hard to believe. It was revealed at the last Direct, and it was just released last week. So the announcement time and the release date were actually really close to each other, if you think about it. And since that's releasing in the same day as the new 3DS, they're going to be releasing a model that's a Majora's Mask style. But it's out of stock right now, so anyone who's trying to get it, you're out of luck. So I'm sorry. So that's it for the Nintendo Direct. I'm sorry this is kind of late. I was kind of over a month late with this. But next time there's Nintendo news, I'll be sure to cover it. So this has been FTFullerproductions, and this is FT Fuller.